Finally, the Nespresso Aeroccino 3 versus a hand frother. I'm using the Aero Latte today. They're both contenders, they're both champions in their own right. So the answer as far as what's the best milk frother or which is the best milk frother, it's not a straightforward answer. So I'm going to go through both. I'm going to demo each. I'm going to go through the pros and cons. I'm not going to stick to a strict format, but by the end, we'll be able to figure it out, at least for each of you. I will start off with the Nespresso Aeroccino 3. As you can see, despite just about every picture you see, every advertisement, this actually does have a cord. Every advertisement I've ever seen, every picture makes it look like it's wireless. There's just kind of, I don't know, either battery operated or it works on a charge. Not the case. There is a platform for it. It does have a wire. So in addition, you'll basically notice that it's got in terms of a footprint, it's fairly large. This is almost like the width of a thermos. And even if you were to store this in a cupboard or something when you're not using it, you're still going to have this little base unit here. I don't think you're going to want to unplug it and keep going. So whatever it is, that's going to remain on your counter. For a lot of people tend to just keep the whole thing. I mean, it's not ugly or anything, but it does take up space if that's an issue for you. Versus the Aero Latte hand frother, this literally, it's small, it's lightweight, and for those of you that have a case, it goes right in your drawer. Other people may have a stand for it if they do want to keep it out, and it comes in a chrome finish, it can look nice. But certainly on a footprint basis, Aero Latte hand frother wins each time. In terms of ease of use, well, that's going to go to the Nespresso, the Aeroccino 3. Why? Because it's one button. What does the Aeroccino 3 do? It does froth your milk. It can also just heat your milk. But the beauty of this machine is that it can froth your milk both hot and cold, depending upon what type of beverage you're making. One of the drawbacks of the Aeroccino 3, even though it looks like this big, deep, big canister that can hold a lot of liquid, the inside is actually, as it turns out, if you want to make hot milk or froth hot milk, you can actually only use about 4 ounces of milk. If you want to just make your milk hot and not froth it, you can use just about 8 ounces of milk, which goes about here to here. So I'm going to use about 3 ounces. Now, how does it work? Well, once it's on the base unit, you press it once quickly to use hot, and press it twice, or hold it down rather, for 2 seconds, and that you will make your froth milk cold, or keep it cold. In terms of does it actually do hot milk? That's one of my biggest complaints. If you take cold milk coming right out of the fridge, put this thing on, you're going to notice that when it's done, it works for a minute or 2 minutes. It's pretty quick, or quick enough, as you'll see, but it does not come out hot. For my purposes, for most people's purposes, if you start with cold milk, right out of the fridge, to me, it's not hot enough by any means. As you'll see with the Aero Latte, it's a manual process in terms of heating, but you have a lot more control. And another thing I noticed, and I'll show you, is once you've actually used it, once you froth your milk and you've used it once and it's finished, let's say you wanted to make it hotter or froth it up a little bit more, you can't do that. It won't allow you to actually do it twice. I think sometimes if you put it back maybe, but you can't just restart it. So with that said, let's do a quick demo. I'll show you how this works, and I'll show you the froth that it produces. Let me get this out of the way, just to show you. It's just about 3 ounces, not quite the 4 the capacity that it has. So I'm holding it at tilt, so there's your 3, and pour that right in there. You can actually see it tells you there's a max line, so if you're just pouring your milk straight into it, you don't have to use a measuring cup. I did that just to show you. I'm using 3 ounces, and mine's are just under the max. This is the max line if you're just using hot. You just want to heat up the milk. Place it on, easy enough. Close the lid. Bam. That red light says it's frothing, and it's going to use. It's frothing, and and it's going to make it hot. So now, you get in there. You can see it's got the whisking action. And if you notice when I showed you the inside, it actually has a very similar, it uses the same concept, right? They use one of these as this. It's like a little mini whisk. But I'll show you when I go to clean it that the whisk itself the design is a little bit different. On the hand frother, the blades, or whatever you want to call them, they're a bit more separated. It gives a little bit of a different froth. But anyway, meanwhile, one of the beauties of the Aeroccino is that while it's doing this, once you click that button, you now have free time to either start preparing your espresso. I got my machine right here, or you can start preparing your cups. Yeah, you can heat up your cups. You can start preparing the sugar, take out whatever you want. You get your cinnamon ready. And as you see, because you can't really do that with the hand frother. Once you start using the hand frother, you're involved. You got to use your skill. This thing's done already. Light went off. Now just watch what I was saying before. If you try to redo this, it doesn't work. It doesn't allow you. It knows that you just used it or whatever. So take it out. Now there's your foam. Now at first glance, this actually looks, and it is, pretty good tight foam. Hopefully you're capturing that. Let's see if I get right in there. Those are really tight little bubbles. Milk froth. And what I do want to show you is how this thing pours out. There are a few things about how this actually pours out. So I want you to watch closely. I want you to watch the foam. If I get down a little bit lower, I want you to watch the foam, and I'm going to cheat a little and tell you what to look for. But essentially, a lot of liquid still remains, and because of the idea with this, you can't just obviously make your coffee and drink it out of here. You have to do this pouring action, and that differs from a hand frother, because in a hand frother, I can actually froth my milk right in my cup. So watch what happens when I pour. The first thing you see coming out is that milk, and then and then you get this foam that sometimes does stay in there. At other times, it actually comes out better. To give credit where credit is due. I don't want to shake the camera anymore. But one of my complaints is that, we'll get a spoon to get this out. But one of my complaints is that there's always some foam remaining in there, no matter what you do. Now this is not that bad, because sometimes even when you use a steam frother, you still have to spoon it out. But compared to now, I will say that this is good foam, right? This is tight, this is good, this is great for a latte, not great for a cappuccino. And that, by the way, is one of the advantages of a hand frother over the Aeroccino, the Nespresso Aeroccino 3, is that you have control over the type of foam you make. You can make it more aerated, you can make it really tight like this. But again, one of the advantages is that simplicity. You saw it was simply one push of a button. All right, so this is what's left even after I spoon it out. And we saw that there's quite a bit of liquid left in there. Hopefully it's hot, but it's not very hot. I don't have a temperature gauge, unfortunately. So now we get to the cleaning process. In comparing the two, I'm going to show you something about the Aeroccino. We'll get back to this hand frother, which literally, as I've said in one of my other videos, it's a 3-second process. I literally just run this under the water, 1, 2, 3, which you'll see later, and it's done. But let me take this to the sink and show you what I'm talking about, the rinse. Okay, so we got the foam still in there. I always like to give it a quick rinse immediately, because otherwise it starts to stick in there. And yeah, no big deal. Normally, you would think that just give it a good rinse out. Right? After all, it's kind of just like a cup. And now, you'd think that that looks pretty clean. I mean, it looks like it's all clean, really. I mean, I know the light's playing little games, but watch this. I don't know if you can see on my finger now. I hope you can't. But there's little speck. There's still, it leaves a film. The bottom line is, it's not going to come out. But even though it looks clean, it still leaves little bits of film, and I believe that's because that plate down there is what heats up. So as it's heating up, that milk is forming a skin, essentially, that you can't really see. It's not hard to get off, but you just have to know it's there. So when you think that it's all gone, it's not. You got to make sure, just give it that extra rinse and get your fingers in there, or get a sponge in there, And then it's no big deal. That's it. And then you set it down to dry. And that's it. Once it's rinsed off, most people will put it back on the base. This cap, by the way, it actually never reaches tap, so this always stays pretty clean. It doesn't even need to be washed or anything. I obviously leave it off so this can dry. No big deal. That's it. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward, but there are drawbacks to using this machine. We didn't talk about price, but obviously there is a big difference in price. So the Aero Latte is about $19.99, depending upon which one you get. Hand frothers can range from $3 and up, depending upon the quality and the make and all that. An Aeroccino, the Nespresso Aeroccino 3, about $90. Now, a lot of people get one for free with their espresso purchase. If you buy an espresso machine, they're also usually package these together. So a lot of you may be on the fence. You know, should you keep your Aeroccino 3? Should you buy an, if you don't have one, you know, and you're looking to froth your milk, should you buy one? Or should you go with a hand frother, perhaps? And by the way, most of these are the same concept, whether it's an Aeroccino 3 or any of these other electric milk frothers. I know this is electric too, so don't get on me, but you know what I mean. These large types that plug in, blah, blah, blah. They're all going to have the same drawbacks, essentially. So let's get to the hand frother. Let's get to the demo. I am going to use clear glass just because why not? Let's have some fun. You can see what I'm doing. Now, here's your cold milk. Here's one of the drawbacks. We now have to heat this milk. Well, the disadvantage is you first have to heat it and then you have to froth it, which is more time consuming compared to this Aeroccino, which actually does both at the same time. So I'm going to put this in for a minute. I'm going to come back to you so you don't have to wait, and we'll get started. As far as like how much time to put it in and stuff like that, I actually use a microwave. You can use a stovetop. I recommend the microwave generally, just because you have more control. You don't have to watch over it. And as far as how to froth and all that, if you want a better instructional video, I have one on this channel. I actually have a few where I demonstrate the frothing, but one in particular where I go over how much to heat it, how to use it, and technique and all that stuff. So, all right, we're getting some froth right now. If you use anything with 1%, 2%, anything with a little bit of fat, it's going to work so much better, or so much faster, I should say. If you use half and half, it's literally half the time. So, all right, we already got some solid foam here. Hopefully you can see that. Let me lift it up and get it in there for you. So it's pretty tight, just like the air. I did it in this cup. You know, one of the advantages of using a hand frother, you can actually do it in the cup that you're going to use to drink your coffee, or you can you know, do it in a larger cup if you're going to make more than one cup. You know, if you're frothing for somebody else as well, it's one of the advantages. I did it in here so that when we pour it out, we can actually see the milk to froth ratio. And there you saw a little bit of milk, not as much as the Aeroccino, and plenty of froth. Now, see, this is a little bit even tighter, arguably. It's hard to see. Get right up in there. But you can produce all types of froth with this. So there you have it. And guess what? The Aeroccino, we still got foam. It's been quite some time. Still some foam left. It's obviously liquidy in the bottom. This tends to hold really well as well. You can see some other videos where it stands up to, you know, I pour coffee over it, it's still inflated. This can last an hour. Look, as I said, it may not be so straightforward for everybody. You are weighing the costs of, maybe you got it for free, in which case you're saying, well, do I really need to do, you know, should I replace it with an Aero Latte? Yeah, there are some advantages. It's easier if you're going to be making for more than one person. This has a maximum 4 ounces. With a hand frother, you can just take a large cup like this and just go to town frothing. If you get some sort of satisfaction of man versus machine, or just using your skills, your frothing skills, I think that's an advantage. Just being able to create different types of foam. I didn't get to demonstrate that here, but that is an upside to the Aero Latte. But again, if you didn't get it for free, you got to weigh the purchase price. You got to weigh all the cleanup that's involved, the portability that's involved, all the factors that we just went over. There's the actual froth. That's a toss-up. I think overall, like froth alone, you have more advantages with the Aero Latte. But again, it's a really hard trade-off against the time. I mean, I love when I use it. I love the ability to just press the thing, get my coffee ready, get my sugar ready, and then kind of dump it in. So, look, if you wanted a straight-up answer, which is better, I don't think I think that's individual. I think that's up to everybody. Everybody has to make that choice for themselves. So if you're on the fence in terms of which to get, or which is better, I hope this helped you decide. If you're eyeing my cup, I'm going to leave a link for that down below. I will leave a link, as I said, for the Aero Latte and both the Aeroccino as well. So thank you for joining me. If you found this at all helpful, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more, subscribe down below. Thanks.